Ever since I was little, I don't remember a time where I wasn't outside shooting a basketball, throwing a football, or hitting some baseballs around the yard. Playing sports was the only thing I wanted to do growing up. Man, was I competitive as a kid. What am I talking about? I'm still competitive to this day with anything me and my partners do. When it comes to hanging out at my friend Wesley's house, there isn't a time where we aren't doing something to either injure ourselves or something that brings out our inner competitive spirit. When it comes to playing pool with the boys, all you're going to hear is straight trash talk to one another, like a good old-fashioned yo mama joke. Especially when we're playing Wii Sports golf in the living room. Man, you should see how hectic that household gets when we're playing some golf. But looking back on it, I wouldn't have it any other way. After all, why do something if you aren't going to give 110% at it? I was always taught, if you want to be the best, it requires lots of time and effort to achieve it. Now, let's take a trip down good old memory lane, back to when I was 9 years old. This was my first year in the Mustang League for rec baseball, which basically means I went hitting off the pitching machine to hitting off a real pitcher. My first year in this league didn't go so well. I was having a hard time adjusting to hitting off a real person. The overall goal was to make the all-star team at the end of the season. At the end of each season, all the coaches get together and pick their top 13 players to be on the Jennings All-Star team. This had been a dream of mine ever since I started playing baseball. Even though I was struggling with my hitting, I didn't want to put in the extra time after practice or at home to get better. Overall, I was just flat out lazy. When the end of the season came around, I felt like I could have made the team, but I wasn't really sure if I was going to. When the night of the meeting came, my friend's dad was a coach, so he was going to let us know what happened when it came time. I was super nervous, I couldn't eat anything at all, and all I could do was sit there and wait for the text. It got around 8:30 that night, and my dad finally received the text. But it wasn't good news. My dad told me, maybe next year. Once he told me, I was devastated. I was so upset that I didn't make it that I didn't want to play baseball anymore. When I sat back and reflected on the season, I realized I didn't deserve to be on the team. I didn't put in the hard work to get better. But I knew I had to change my ways to get better for the next season. And that's exactly what I did. For the next year, any chance I got, my dad and I would be out in the yard working on my fielding skills or heading to Franklin Park to work on my hitting. During that next year, I put in the extra work and I gave 110% of my effort to be the best player I could be. The next season comes around and I feel 20 times more confident than I did last year. This season, I hit better, fielded better, and even pitched better. It was all thanks to the hard work my dad and I put in that past year. So my second season comes to an end, and I'm awaiting anxiously for the results. That night, I felt so accomplished with myself, knowing that all the work I put in has the potential to finally pay off. My parents and I are sitting in our living room, hoping and praying that the text is good news. After what seemed like hours, my dad finally received the text that would drastically change the summer of 2012. As soon as my dad read the text, he smiled, and I knew my childhood dream had been fulfilled. Now, reflecting back on that moment in my life, I realized how much it has shaped me into the person I am today. For those of you who don't know, it took me 2 tries to become a state officer. My first time running, I'm not going to lie, I was very unprepared and didn't know what I was getting myself into. This really hurt my chances of getting state office, but it didn't stop me from running again. If anything, it made me a better candidate for my second attempt. My second time running, I put a lot more practice in with my advisors, which provided me with more confidence. And look where I am today, in front of you all, giving my tying address. It's crazy to think how much a decision I made as a 10-year-old has shaped me into the person standing here today. A person who knows the advantages of hard work, second chances, and the value of a good old-fashioned pod and a Wii Sport game. Last spring, I was on social media when I came across this post ESPN had made. It was about this guy who tried out for the Cleveland Browns. His name was Damon Shahid Giuseppe. After being out of football for 2 years, he was jobless, homeless, and sleeping outside of a gym in Miami, Florida. After receiving a tip about the location of the Cleveland Browns free agent workout, he decided to take his chances to travel for the team, despite not having an invitation. By Shahid Giuseppe's own admission, he was only allowed in the workout by claiming to know the Cleveland Browns VP of player personnel. He impressed the VP enough to be invited to another workout a week later. The Browns officially signed him on April 5th, 2019. During the offseason, he competed for the kick return position against 4 other guys. and in the very first preseason game, he returned a punt for an 86-yard touchdown. Another player with an exceptional story is Jimmy Butler. One NBA general manager said that his story is one of the most remarkable stories I've seen in all my years of basketball. There were so many times in his life where he was set up to fail and every time overcame enormous odds. When you talk to him and he's hesitant to talk about his life, you just have the feeling that this kid has greatness in him. By the time Butler was 13, his mother kicked him out of the house, which caused him to bounce around from house to house while growing up. In a summer league basketball game during Butler's senior year, he was approached by Jordan Leslie, a freshman at the same school. Jordan challenged Jimmy to a three-point contest, and they instantly became friends. Leslie's family took Jimmy in as a part of their family and let him live with them. Jimmy went on to play at Marquette University and was later on drafted in the first round of the NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls. Today, Jimmy is for sure a top 20 player in the league and a stellar defensive threat on the court. Whether it's me, a small-town baseball kid from Jennings, Louisiana, a homeless guy turned NFL pro, or Jimmy Butler, an NBA All-Star, we all had the choice to decide if we wanted to be successful or not. You also have to have the willpower and drive to want to be better and to persevere through the hard times. You should always have the will to never give up, to never let obstacles get in your way. The hard work I put in to achieve my dreams wasn't easy, but I'm not saying it's impossible. One quote that comes to mind for me is by Michael Jordan. Never say never, because limits like fears are often just illusions. You can never be scared, so follow your dreams and let fears get in the way. I'm telling you, once you reach the end of your journey and you're hoisting that trophy or whatever award you have been striving for, it's all going to be worth it.